The basement that smells faintly of earth no matter how many times you clean it. The closet where leather develops a film along the seams every spring. The storage unit you open after 3 months to find cardboard boxes soft and sagging. That is not a cleaning problem. That is moisture sitting in the air with nowhere to go. And it is not just the smell. Excess humidity corrodes electronics, warps photographs, swells wood furniture until the joints crack and grows mildew into clothing that no wash cycle fully removes. The EPA says indoor humidity above 60% starts colonizing surfaces with mold within 24 to 48 hours. Studies suggest nearly half of American homes show signs of it. And the average mold remediation bill runs $2,300, $15,000 if it reaches your attic or gets into the walls. There is a salt that pulls moisture directly out of the air. No electricity, no compressor, no fan. It sits in a container and works silently, continuously until the air around it is dry. Each application costs about $1. And when the salt saturates, when it has absorbed all the moisture it can hold, you put it in your oven for a couple of hours and it comes back to full strength. Same salt, ready to go again. Forever. You have almost certainly been paying $15 for this exact salt without knowing it. The product is called Damp Rid. White crystals in a plastic tub with a reservoir underneath. It sells for $12 to $18 at any hardware store. When the crystals dissolve, the label tells you to throw the whole thing away and buy another one 4 to 6 times a year. Here is what is inside that tub. Calcium chloride. That is it, the same compound sold 10 aisles over in the outdoor section as ice melt pellets. A small bag runs from $7 to $10 at any hardware store, enough to fill your setup 4 or 5 times. And since you regenerate it every time, that one bag lasts years. If you want to stock up, a 50-pound bag runs about $22. That is a lifetime supply for your whole house. Either way, each fill costs you roughly $1 worth of salt. The same amount in a Damp Rid tub costs $15. And here's the part that should really bother you. The calcium chloride inside that tub is not used up when it dissolves. It is not degraded. It is not spent. It has simply absorbed water. The salt is still sitting in that liquid, chemically intact, waiting for someone to remove the water so it can work again. And nobody who sells it in a disposable format has any reason to mention that. So what does this salt actually do? Calcium chloride has a strong chemical attraction to water. When you expose the crystals to humid air, they grab moisture right out of the atmosphere and hold it. Keep pulling until the air around them dries out. Under high humidity, the crystals absorb so much water that they dissolve into it. The salt literally drinks itself into a puddle, and that puddle drips into whatever container you have underneath. How much can it absorb? Up to 300% of its own weight. 2 pounds of salt pulls 6 pounds of water out of the air. Compare that to the silica gel packets you find in shoe boxes. Those absorb about 25 to 30% of their weight under the same conditions. Calcium chloride outperforms them nearly 10 to 1 in the kind of humid environments where you actually need help. No electricity, no moving parts. You set it down and it works. That is the entire system. Now let me put the real cost next to what most people are paying. A Damp Rid tub costs $12 to $18 and lasts 6 to 8 weeks. If you run one in a basement or storage space, that is 4 to 6 tubs a year. Call it $60 to $90 annually for one room. A $7 bag of calcium chloride from the hardware store gives you 4 or 5 fills at about $1 each, but you are not using up those fills because you are regenerating the same salt every time. You buy one bag and it lasts for years. The regeneration is simple. When the crystals have fully dissolved into liquid, pour the brine into a glass baking dish. Heat the oven to 300 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and bake for 1 to 3 hours. The water evaporates out through the oven vent. What is left in the dish when it is done is dry calcium chloride restored and fully functional, ready to absorb again. The salt does not break down through this cycle. It is reusable. You are not wearing it out. You are just squeezing the water out the same way you wring a sponge. $1 of salt working again and again and again. A blogger in New England documented the whole process on her site. Each fill cost her 66 cents. The same batch of salt was still working after 2 years of regular use. 66 cents regenerated in her kitchen over and over. Meanwhile, Damprid was selling the same compound in a disposable tub for $15 a pop. $90 a year on Damprid tubs thrown in the trash every time, or $7 once, regenerated in your oven, lasting years. That gap stopped me when I first ran the numbers. Now, follow the money for a second because it is worth seeing. The global dehumidifier market is worth over $3 billion a year. Damprid alone generates tens of millions of dollars in annual retail sales. The entire business model runs on the tub being disposable. The branded container, the molded-in collection reservoir, the instructions that say discard when dissolved, all of it exists to make a reusable compound feel like a single-use product. Nobody hid this. The chemistry is in any textbook. Calcium chloride regeneration is not a secret. But nobody in the chain between the factory and your shelf makes money telling you about it. Damprid profits when you throw it away and buy another one. The hardware store makes more margin on a $15 tub than on a $7 bag of ice melt you buy once. Nobody sat down and planned that. It is just how the math works when every product in the aisle is designed to be repurchased. All right, a few things worth knowing before you set one up, because I am not going to oversell this. Calcium chloride works passively. No fan means it pulls moisture from the air right around it, roughly a 3 to 5 foot radius. In a closet, a bathroom, a boat cabin, a recreational vehicle, a storage unit, a vacation property you close up for months. One setup handles the job. The space is small enough that the salt can dry out the air on its own. For a bigger room, a bedroom, a full basement, one container is not going to do it alone. You scale up, 2 or 3 setups spread around the room, or add a small fan, even a USB-powered one to move air across the salt. That extends the reach dramatically. 3 setups in a basement with a cheap box fan is a real dehumidification system for under $30 in total materials. The salt does not care about the size of the space. It cares about how much air reaches it. But if your basement has water coming through the foundation, if you are dealing with flooding, if there is water actively getting in, this is not the right tool. A powered dehumidifier with a pump and serious capacity is what that situation calls for. Calcium chloride prevents the conditions that lead to mold. It does not mop up a flood. Prevention, not remediation. That distinction matters. One more thing. Calcium chloride is an irritant. It can bother your skin with prolonged contact and it will sting your eyes. The brine it produces is corrosive to metal. Do not let it sit on metal surfaces or leather. Keep it away from kids and pets. Pour used brine down a drain with plenty of water. Basic precautions, same as handling any concentrated salt. Nothing exotic, just worth knowing. Here is what building this actually looks like. Go to Home Depot or Lowe's, walk past the cleaning aisle. Do not stop at the Damprid display. Go to the outdoor section. Look for ice melt pellets that say calcium chloride on the bag. Brands such as Pelado, Kick Joe, Snow Joe, or any store brand are fine. They are all the same compound. Grab the smallest bag. That is your dehumidifier. At home, take a plastic colander, the kind you drain pasta with, and set it inside a bowl roughly the same size. Fill the colander 2 to 3 inches deep with pellets. Place it in the space you want to dry out. Done. As the crystals pull moisture from the air, they dissolve and drip through the colander into the bowl. The bowl fills up over days or weeks, depending on how humid the space is. Empty the bowl when it fills. When the colander is empty and all the crystals have dissolved into liquid, it is time to regenerate. Pour the brine into a glass baking dish. Set the oven to 300 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat for 1 to 3 hours. Run the range hood or crack a window. You are just evaporating salt water. It is not toxic, but the moisture needs somewhere to go. When the water is gone, dry salt will be sitting in the dish. Let it cool. Seal it in a container and refill the colander when you need it. The first time you set one of these in a damp closet, check it in 2 days. You will find liquid in the bowl. The air in the closet will smell different, not like a cleaning product, more like nothing. The musty smell is gone because the moisture that fed it is sitting in the bowl instead of floating in the air. That is what $1.05 gets you. And if you want to know whether your house needs this right now, buy an hygrometer, an $8 hygrometer. You can get one at any hardware store or online. Stick it in your basement, your closet, your bathroom. Give it an hour. If it reads above 60%, the mold clock is already ticking. That is the number the EPA says starts the countdown. And the fix is $1 worth of salt in a colander. Here's what I keep coming back to. The average mold remediation job costs $2,300. Some run $10,000 or $15,000. Every single one of them started the same way. Humidity that nobody checked because nobody was looking. The musty smell everyone walked past. The closet nobody opened for 6 months. The basement that always felt a little off but never seemed urgent enough to deal with. A colander of salt in the corner of that basement does not feel like a $2,300 decision, but that is exactly what it is. If that is the kind of thing worth knowing, subscribe. There is more coming.